everyone. So today we have a project. I fixed this engine yesterday. It's now the weekend and we're going to be scrapping this deck. I know what you're saying. Why? Well, to be honest, this deck is more valuable to me scrapped than it is to buy a bag, and selling this without a bag is not very profitable at all. So we're going to take the motor off, probably keep the cable, maybe not. Handlebars, the little the bail, and the wheels we'll keep. The rest, oh, and the side chute, we need to take that off too. So between all that, we are going to, obviously the motor. So when we do this, you're going to want to do a couple things. One, if you're buying a brand new engine, it doesn't really matter. You just want to make sure your shaft size is the same as whatever pulley you have on the reciprocating mower. You want to remove that pulley. Two, if you're going to be completely replacing everything brand new, like I say, it doesn't really matter. But if you're not, you're going to want to generally do one non-self-propel to a self-propel. The shafts are a little bit different, and you also want to get a similar sized deck. That's going to ensure the shaft length is the same. So what we're going to be doing is, this is going on a 21-inch Craftsman. Deck is more or less the same, except just a little older. It's in good condition, just a little older, and it's also non-self-propel. The reason why you want non-self-propel to non-self-propel is, like I said, the shaft is a little bit different, and the pulley sometimes will get stuck on there and you're going to have a whole lot of issues. You can remove it with a puller, heating, all that, but it's just a whole lot easier if we could just keep the pulley that's on already. First things first is we're going to undo the spark plug. There we go. Let's put that in the muffler for now. Next, we're going to take off the blade. Let's see what size that is. Try 9/16. Nope. Oh, winner of 5/8. So you don't have to have this. It does help, but you just want to remove it. You could put a block of wood in here and take like a socket, breaker bar, anything like that, and it should work fine. Just whatever you do, try not to snap it, then you're in a world of pain. And there we are. At this point, look at the blade. The blade's pretty decent. We'll sharpen that before we put it on. Now, at this point, if you are going to be putting a self-propel pulley on here, you're going to want to remove this. That never happens, by the way. That almost always is seized on there from rust. But since it did come off, we'll take it off so it doesn't fall. Next, I'm going to take off the cable. Now everything's disconnected. Now everything's disconnected. It's literally just a motor being held by 3 bolts. I mean everything. The cable, the pull cable, everything. You're going to want to take off the 3 bolts on there. Now here's the beauty part about this. Every single engine of this size, this type, will have the same bolt pattern, unless you're getting to some really old engines. It might be different. Or if you're getting into like riding lawnmower engines, you should not be putting that on a deck like this. I like to start at the bottom. Now these do like to strip, or not strip, but break, so be careful. is relatively new. We also want to keep these because these came out of the engine we want to keep. But if it's relatively new, it should be okay. If it's older, you might have rust problems. Don't just go in there like 100 miles an hour. Just start off slow and work your way through. Now we have two of them out. The top one is holding it in. If you start at the top, you're going to have a tip back. You don't want that. You do want to hold on to it though. And there we have it. One engine ready to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sharpen the blade. I'm going to get the deck prepared for the next one. Same thing, except it's just going to be the reciprocal or the same. It's going to be the same thing, except I don't care what happens to that motor. You can snap those bolts off all you want, in which case I did. So I'll go ahead, get that deck over, and we'll install. This next step is a real pain, don't get me wrong, but it's not too bad. They are a little heavy sometimes, so you might want to get a friend or something to help out. But it helps if you have everything ready and prepared. So I'm going to hold it. Now you want to do this carburetor facing up. The carburetor's on the other side, you're going to want to flip it. Now, you match up one of the holes. Get it started. Match up a second one. Get that started. And tighten one. And then there we have it. Put in the third and final one. Like I said, all these bolt patterns are the same. There we go. Now we take our freshly sharpened blade. Now remember, the blade goes as the engine spins counterclockwise. So, remember that. So the sharp side is going to be spinning counterclockwise. There we go. There we go. Now, is there a torque spec for this? Yes, there is. My torque spec is not going crazy on it with my impact. You know, that's probably not the best way of doing it. If you really want to look it up, you can. I've never had a problem. As long as you don't snap it, the blade itself should be fine. I'm not too worried about all that. So now, next thing we're going to do is put it on the table, and then we're going to connect all the cables and whatnot. I took the recoil assembly off to make this easier to see. Now, at the bail, I disconnected it as well. That way I can have easy movement of the cable. So I put the Z or Z or whatever you want to call it in first. Now that's in there, we're going to just push this through. Oh, other end's binding. There we go. There we go. So now we just need to take the pull cord, which is off right now, put it on the handle, and for this particular one we're done. So this part's not needed, but this is a Craftsman mower. This is a Troy-Bill engine. They're the same engine, just the different covers. This is a black one, came off the same type and it will fit on there, no problem. Obviously this is a bonus or extra step, but notice how that recoil has these dogs. That's the one that came off the engine. This one came off the other one. It just slides up and down. That's not good. So what we need to do is you just press on it, and there's these little clips in here, and then they just pop right out, and you just do it to both and connect it. Like I said, if this is yours and you don't care what color it is, or you're doing the same engine type, it doesn't really matter if the Craftsman says Craftsman, then you know that doesn't matter. But if it isn't yours and you do care and you want to sell it like I am, then it's something you do want to pay attention to. Like I said, this one says Puan. Not gonna be too concerned, but the top optional, like I said, if it doesn't matter to you, then don't do it. Next, it's going to potentially have a hard time starting to begin with because you had it on its side. It might be a little smoky. If it is, then don't be alarmed. The plug is connected. The only thing now I need to do is connect the pull cord, which is a little different on this one. I have to remember how to do it, and then connect the cable, and should be it. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're connecting the kill to the bail. Everything looks like it's good. The good thing about these cables is they're not specific towards the engine, they're specific to the deck. There we go. Okay, with the exception of a zip tie to tie down that cable, I think we're ready. So what you look for on the first pull, granted I was missing a bolt, so I was expecting this to pull up a little bit like that, but what I was looking for is making sure the engine isn't rocking, there's no noises coming from the blade, and everything seems to be normal. There's not any obstructions or anything like that, and we're good to go with that one. The only thing I need to do is find that bolt, and we should be set. So other than that, if you have a blown engine but a good deck, and you find a cheap engine, cheap lawnmower with a bad deck, or however it turns out, and you want to swap them, just follow these rules. Self-propel to self-propel, non-self-propel to non-self-propel or push. They can go either way. It's just going to be a little bit more work for you. If you buy an engine new, take off the old one, measure the shaft, and then find a new one that has the same shaft size, pull off the pulley, and you're set. Cables, they're all the same. If for any reason you need to put a non-self-propel engine on a self-propel, or you are doing a self-propel with another self-propel and the pulleys don't match, you usually can buy a pulley that will fit a different shaft size. You just really need to measure it and find one that has the same diameter and takes the same type of belt. Some of them are really thin, usually they're not, but there are some odd ones out there. Other than that, that's really about it. The simple ones are just these, just the just push mowers. The only other addition is if you are going to be doing a self-propel, you'll be putting the belt on, and if there's any other covers, you would then put the covers on as well. So other than that, that's it. Hopefully this helped you out. Put a thumbs up if you like it, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video. Later. I found a bolt. Let's just try it one more time. To cover ourselves, you know? Okay, so that's about it. I guess I just want to go over one final thing as well too. Is why would you do this? Well, like I said, if save a little money, more or less. If you have a good mower or a good deck and a bad engine, you can find mowers with bad decks practically for free or even free, and it doesn't matter what engine type it is. Now, like I said, you do have to figure out the type of mower. So if, for instance, you know, like this one is both non-self-propel, which will work great, but if you found a push Honda, that's fine. Briggs, that's fine, as long as it's just a general type, it will all fit. Okay, that's the real end. I'll catch you in the next video. Later.